Okay, well, I see we have some more folks rolling in and joining us, but I think we'll go ahead and get started. For everyone who is joining us, we are streaming live on Facebook, just so you're aware, but the folks who are live with us in the webinar, you will be able to answer questions. We are going to go through a presentation that covers a variety of tech support topics. So maybe hold your questions until after we go through that presentation to see if it gets answered. We will be going through the Q&A after our presentation, and
I think Denise just got frozen for just a second.
I'll be answered there.
Denise, you are frozen just a little bit. I'm going to just repeat some of the things that I didn't hear that you were going over. We will be asking participants that are joining us through the webinar to hold off on all Q&A questions until the end of the presentation, because you might have your question answered during that. And I think we're ready to get started, Denise.
Yes, I think we are. Okay.
All right.
Information is Director of Information Technology, Maurice Payne. So Maurice, go ahead and get us started.
All right, thank you, Denise. As she said, I'm Maurice Payne, Director of IT for Decatur Public Schools, and we're going to go ahead and get started with our presentation here so we can maximize our time. So the first thing we'll talk about is iPad deployment. We've gotten a lot of questions about this. Each building will schedule their iPad deployment, and they'll reach out to those students that are going to get an upgraded iPad. We do have some grades that we're refreshing this year. Last year, we refreshed grades K through 2. So we are completing those other elementary grades to get them upgraded iPads. Also, with that iPad deployment, if you didn't pick up your iPad for remote learning this past spring, you will have an opportunity to do that through the pickup process as well. And I just want to note that if you have a damaged iPad and you need to get support or get that swapped out, later in the presentation, we'll talk about how you go about that process with our help desk system, and the same thing for lost devices. So we'll provide more details on that. All right, we can go to the next slide. So right here, we're going to go through a live demonstration here to show you some of the things about troubleshooting and other topics we have. So we'll have Jennifer Tuggle here on the meeting, and she's going to share a screen for an iPad. So we'll walk through some troubleshooting techniques. So the first thing, if you're having some issues with your Wi-Fi, you can go to the settings and you can toggle the Wi-Fi on and off. That's one thing you can do to get it to redisplay or reconnect to the network. And you'll see that there's networks there available. Another thing, if it happens to not want to connect, you can click on the information button, that little eye next to the network, and you can click forget this network. And what that does is just clears it out from the memory, and then you can go back and do a fresh connection to the network. And sometimes that might flush out some old or corrupt connections and get you a fresh set of configurations to go ahead and connect to the internet. So that's one thing you can do right there. Another thing you do, if you're having that trouble with any app that's on your iPad, you can hit the home button twice, and that brings up the application switcher. And you can go ahead and put your finger on the application and swipe it up, and it'll close completely. And a lot of times you can have a connection with an app that just gets stuck, and you can double click that home button again and open that app and close it out and then restart it. And sometimes that'll get you past the issue that you're facing. All right, the next thing, sorry, one second to get my notes here. Okay, when you're going into the self-service section, this is where you have apps where you can download that may be related to the instruction that you're participating in. There's a lot of apps listed here. So usually your instructors or teachers will let you know which apps are yours. And a lot of times they're already installed on your system. So if you want to have an app that you want to install, they're listed in alphabetical order. So you can find it that way. And then you can just click the install button, and then that app will start installing on your device from the server. And another small, you can see right here on the screen, it starts to install that app. It takes a little bit, obviously depends on your internet connection, but it'll stall there from self-service and you'll be able to use that. If there's an app that you are needing and you're not seeing, again, later on when we show the help desk process, we'll show you how you can let us know if there's something that you're not seeing that you're supposed to. Another small tip is when you're installing the apps, there's a couple of different sections you can do it from, but doing it from the app page is the best way to get the app to install. Just some of the quirky things with an iPad that happen. If you go to the app page, that's a better way for success with installing the app. Another thing about this screen, there's app updates, and every once in a while, these developers release new updates for their app. Sometimes they could be critical updates that need the app to function. So you can go to the app update page and you can update your apps this way. And then you can click the update all, and anyone that has a pending update will show up in the screen, and you can go ahead and get those apps updated. All right. Let's see. The next thing we wanted to talk about is, well, we weren't going to demonstrate this, but if you had to, powering off your device and turning it back on is also a great troubleshooting technique. Again, same thing with software. When you turn it off and turn it back on, it just clears out the old memory in there and gets you a fresh start. And a lot of times that can resolve issues as well. So I always advise even when we're working with any type of technology, whether that's computers, tablets, phones, turning off a device and turning it back on is a really helpful troubleshooting technique. And then another thing you can do with iPads is called a hard reset. You can hold the home button and the power button. And if you hold that down long enough, it'll hard reset the device and reset the operating system. So that's another technique. We're not going to do that here demonstrating because we're using this device for this demonstration. But if you hold the power button and the power lock button together, and for about 5 seconds, it'll hard reset the device, and then you'll be able to log back in and get into the device. All right. Next, we want to show you a couple things. There's some icons that we put on your sent out to all iPads. This is whether you have an older iPad or get a new one. These same links will show up on any student device. I'll point out some that have been on there. The online registration link, if you need to register, that's a link that's on all the iPads now. So if you click that, you can go to our Skyward page. Then there's also, there she's demonstrating there, you go to the family access page, and you can log in your Skyward account to complete registration. And then there's another app right next to it that is the instruction for registration. So if you need help, you can go to that link and get some information there.
Maurice, can I pause for just a second?
Yes.
We just announced from the district about delivering of meals. The same way to opt out of meal delivery is through your Skyward Access account. So that app that Jennifer just showed you for online registration is the same way that you can opt out for receiving meals.
Thank you, Maria.
Yep.
All right, so those are two links. The other links we put on there is the help desk link. For this, we created a help desk account for all students, pardon me, so that you can submit tickets to IT if you're having issues. So the first part of your user ID for the login is going to be your student ID, and then it's at dps61.net. That's your Google email address. So we preset the password for all help desk accounts. They are the uppercase initial of your first name and the lowercase initial of your last name. Again, I'm gonna say that the password is the uppercase initial for your first name, the student's name, and the lowercase initial of the last name. We want to make that easy. And just so you know, we'll have a FAQ document posted on our website with this information for you to reference as well. But when you enter those credentials for the help desk, you'll come to this screen. And I want to point out that in the request type dropdown, there's a different set of things you can have requests for. The first one being iPad. That's obviously the most common one. And then there's a second dropdown that gets more specific about the issue you're having. So obviously you have a broken iPad charger. If you have the iPad charger in your possession, you can give it back to the school and we'll swap it out for a new one. If you have the broken student iPad, you let us know about that. and that you need support. Disable locked iPad. Disable can be if you entered in the wrong passcode on the when you first open up the iPad. That's not something we can fix remotely. So if you happen to enter in the wrong password, or a sibling happens to get your iPad and enters in the wrong password, that's not something we can fix remotely. So that's something we really want to watch out for when you have the devices. And then a locked iPad could be for maybe it was lost and you found it and it's locked. We reported it locked and you want to get that unlocked. So another thing I want to point out for the lost student iPads, when we get that notification through this help desk, we go ahead and sound off an alarm for that device. So we gives you an opportunity to find it. And we also lock it just in case it got into the wrong hands. But we want that opportunity for you to go back and find that device in your home or if you misplaced it. So that's why notifying us as soon as possible that you lost an iPad is ideal so that we can get that back into the right hands. And then anything else that's not listed, we have another iPad issue. So another thing I want to point out on the right-hand side is that we post relevant documentation over there if you when you select these request types. So we're going to be updating that with additional things that that will be helpful if you click a certain request type. So just want to point that out to pay attention to that related FAQs section on the right-hand side. Going back to our drop-down list, we have a student app section I want to go to. And for that, if you go to the second drop-down, we have different sections. Our two main platforms that we're using are Google and Seesaw. So those are the main ones for Google will be for, I believe, 2 through 12, and K1 for Seesaw. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But we also have other apps that may be applicable. So if you click on Google Apps, you'll just let us know whether you're having an issue with Google Meets or Google Calendar or Mail or any of those related apps. So you can then put in the information in the request detail box. If you have someone else you want to carbon copy or let know that you're submitting something, it could be another instructor or someone else at the school, you can enter in their information in the carbon copy field. You can add attachments if there's a screenshot that you want to provide or anything, or a link or anything like that. You can submit that into the attachment section and attach the file to the help desk ticket. So once that's done, you click save, and then that notifies our IT technicians that we have your ticket, and we'll be responding accordingly. So that's the help desk system. From that link on the, again, on every iPad, will have that help desk link there. And we encourage you to use that to contact us if you're having issues. The next thing I want to go through is we implemented a password, or in a process of implementing a self-service password reset system for students. So let's say you're not able to get into your Google account. We want you to be able to go to this site and go through a process to reset your password by answering challenge questions. So the first part is you have to enroll in this in order to do that part, in order to be able to reset your password. So when you go to this site that will, it's password.dps61.org. And again, we'll have this documentation for you as a reference through our remote learning page. But you go to this site, you'll type in your username, and the password is going to be preset to uppercase initial of your first name, lowercase initial of your last name, and then your date of birth, which will be 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and 2 digits for the year. So once you enter in that standard password, you'll go to the next screen. This is our test scenario. So we already enrolled this person, but we're going to enroll again through this process. So you won't see that screen, but it'll come to this section where you'll answer you'll select a question. There are different questions in a drop-down listing that you can pick from. So you'll just select whatever question you want to select as your first challenge question, then you answer that question twice just to confirm the answer. And you'll do that for 3 different questions, and you'll complete the enrollment in this process. We're not gonna go through, well, I guess you might go through it. Yeah, we can go through it and do the password change. All right, so back at the main screen, after you complete that process to enroll in the password reset, we will encourage everyone to come out here to change your password. That temporary password we gave you is the same one you'll use here. So you'll put in your user ID, and then you would put in that temporary password. I'll say it again: uppercase initial for your first name, lowercase initial for your last name, and your date of birth in the format of 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and 2 digits for the year. So you won't have to do anything for the domain. But then it comes up to this screen where it gives you the password criteria. And I want to point out for that last section, you have to use at least 3 of the 4 following character types. So you can pick which ones, whether you have a special character or not, or you don't have a number, it's up to you, but you do have to meet this password criteria. And so she's going to go ahead and do a password change here. And once she completes that password change, what this does, we've synced up your Google account to this password change functionality. So as soon as you change your password here, you'll be able to go out and log into your Google app, Classroom, or whatever other Google app you have using that password. So she'll go ahead and demonstrate logging into a Google account. So we're into her Google Classroom. So that's we knew that accessing accounts was an issue last semester when we started remote learning. So we wanted to put that into your hands to be able to reset your own password. So that functionality, again, we're rolling out. Our goal was to have it out and ready for Monday. So we're in the next couple of days, we're going to have this finalized. If you tried to access it, the password process has not been finalized yet in our system. So we're still working through that today and hopefully have that functionality going. But those icons will be on every iPad. So when you get, whether you're turning your old one and getting your new one, you'll be able to go there and access the help desk, the password reset, and then we went over how to get into your Google Classroom. I know I didn't go over Seesaw. Seesaw does not have those same capabilities as connected up with the credentials. So we're looking to make enhancements to not only Seesaw, but any other educational tools that we have to make sure we're simplifying the login process, making it user-friendly and easy for you to get into the accounts you need. So we still have some more work to do from that front, but we're looking forward to everyone being able to have that self-service password reset functionality. But again, you have to enroll in that. So take advantage of that part. All right. I think that was all I had. Let me go to the Q&A section here. The one question I see, we are planning to use our laptops and generic tablets for subjects. Can you use the program on their computer? As far as I'll say the password reset is available from any source, any web browser. That is available anywhere. As far as using the Google application, you can try and log into Google accounts. If it's a device that we don't recognize, it will alert us that you have a device requesting to use a student's account. So we receive those alerts and we've been approving those because we know some people use their own devices. So if that happens, just know that we see that request and we'll complete those and we get them as the school year starts. And if you're not able to get that access, again, go to our help desk and submit an issue. The next one, where do we find the help desk icon again? It will, each iPad will receive that notification to install that app as long as it's connected to Wi-Fi. So if your iPad maybe is not connected to Wi-Fi, go ahead and do that and you should receive that app to access the help desk. On my daughter's iPad in settings, it says finish setting up the iPad. What do I need to do about that one? I believe you might be referring to the Apple ID. And Jennifer, if I'm wrong, can you correct, what's the naming convention for that Apple ID? they need to log into there. I think she's on mute.
Sorry.
That's okay.
There could be a couple of things. The reason that you're seeing that prompt, some of the iPads will show that prompt and it's kind of prompting you to set up Apple Pay. And so you can just ignore that. If you are getting one for signing into an Apple ID, the password for the student's Apple ID should be their 6-digit birthday. So 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and 2 digits for the year. If you're having trouble with that, let us know and we'll help you with that.
Thank you, Jennifer. I see a lot of my child's iPad does not have the help desk option. Another way, if you go to www.dps61.org/help, you can access our help desk system from there. There's a link on that page. www.dps61.org/help. So you can open up Safari on the iPad and access it that way. And again, that can be done from not only student iPad, from any web browser. How do I block my child off the web browsers and from public chat rooms with strangers? We have a securely content and protection filter that's installed on every iPad. It keeps us in compliance with the Children's Internet Protection Act, and we have that installed on every device. So that's going to protect them in most cases. We also are going to be rolling out a parent portal that will allow you to view the search results on the iPads, as well as block certain sites that you will not want your child visiting. Now, again, we have a content filter that still does block inappropriate sites, but we give parents the ability to block additional sites at their discretion. So we are going to be look for communication. If you're a parent and you have an email with the district, we will be sending you a notification for that. And we will share more information about that parent portal at future info shares and that, and information on our website.
Maurice, if I could interrupt, because we've had lots of questions about the help desk. I want to apologize. I did not save the setting when I assigned it to all iPads. I just went in and fixed that. So it should be there very soon. It will install automatically and be on your home screen. So that was my bad. It's fixed now. It should be there soon.
Thank you for clarifying, Jennifer. Yeah, we get that to you. You'll see then connect to Wi-Fi, you'll get that installed. The password change, again, that is password.dps61.org. And we will again share that link out and some documentation for you to see.
And the password reset should be on there already. That one was. Okay.
Password format, again, if you're logging into the reset tool, the standard password is uppercase, first name initial, lowercase last name initial, and the birth date and format of 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and 2 digits for the year. Login IDs, again, for the Google accounts is a student ID number at dps61.net. My child's tablet does not have Seesaw and I'm unable to scan the barcode sent to me. If it does not have Seesaw, again, try to download that from the App Store. If that does not work, reach out to us and through an IT help desk ticket. As far as the barcode, I believe the buildings handle the barcode, so I will reach out to the building for that. But you can include that in your help desk ticket, and so that we make sure you get all your questions answered. If you are locked out of your iPad, you can and can't access the help desk from another device, you can call the school and they'll put a help desk ticket in on your behalf so that we can get that resolved. When the password is reset at home, can parents choose a password that they will remember? When you go to the, for the Google process, when you go to that password reset tool, as long as you meet the criteria, you can reset your password to something that's more convenient for you. But we have that criteria there to try and protect our accounts. So again, if you want to use your own device, you can. If you haven't registered that device with our system, for a security measure, when you try to log in a Google account from an unknown device, it will send us an alert related to that particular student's Google account, and we will approve those. We definitely encourage you to use your own device if you have one that's capable. We will post these instructions after the meeting. Correct. We will do that. Oh, sorry, Maria. I forgot to click the answer live button on some of these.
If you do that, if you did answer it, it'll move them off
Oh,
screen.
see,
Yep.
I just been scrolling down and rolling on trying to get the questions answered. So I'll be sure to do that now. Let me see. Again, we had a delay in those icons being delivered to the devices. So it should come to your iPad if you're connected to Wi-Fi. So look out for those. Logins for Skyward. Maria, can you help me with explaining logins for Skyward for registration?
Yep, so you can contact your schools. They do have your user ID and password that was issued to you at the beginning of the last school year. Those were computer generated. If they see that you do not have a computer generated password listed on their report, that means that you had changed your password and that you will need to use your the forgot password feature. It will send you an email to the address that we have on your student file record to reset your password. If you don't have access to that email account, the school secretary can change that email address for you at that time, and then you will need to go back into Skyward, use your user ID, and then choose the forgot password there.
Okay. Let's see, when will kindergarten iPads roll out? Again, the building will communicate their iPad rollout date. Almost all kindergartners are getting new iPads because of the nature of how last year we rolled out K-2, so all those students will take their iPad to the next grade. So kindergartners will get their iPad when the building does their deployment. Watch out for communication from your specific building on when that date and time is. We previously had an issue with our iPad taking a while to open Google Classroom. Recommendations on what we can do to fix this. You can again try to do a hard reset on your device as one debugging technique. Maybe disconnecting and reconnecting to the Wi-Fi, reinstalling the app from the self-service app store are some tips. But then and all else fails, if it still does not respond for you, just let us know through a help desk ticket. The students use the same Google login and password they used last year. That is correct. We do not change the students login from year to year. They maintain that with their student ID. I believe American Dreamers was one of the schools that completed their iPad distribution. If you did not get your iPad there, just reach out to your building and coordinate through them, and they'll figure out how to get you your device. If you're having trouble with the Apple ID password, go ahead and submit a ticket, and we may need to reset that for you if you do not know it. First year for my daughter, if we wanted to use our own desktop, could she? Yes, you can use our own desktop. Again, you go to Google and access the account, and it'll send us a notification, or you can proactively let us know that you'd like to use a device and get it approved. But either way, we get the notification from that. If the content filter blocks valid content, is that a help desk issue? In the event that you feel that there's content that you feel should be allowed, you can submit a help desk question for that. Yes. Do they have times for delivery for iPads? I believe is answering. Again, the buildings will coordinate iPad deployment days and times. If you need to access the help desk and you aren't able to access it through the icon on the iPad, you can go to www.dps61.org/help. Again, and I want to put, I'm mentioning that self-service password reset page. I want to caveat that we are in the process of finalizing a password sync, so that will be live in the next day or two. But to access the self-service password tool, it is password.dps61.org. And again, we'll have all this in documentation form posted on our Remote to Learn site the next day as well. If your child has never had a Google Class password, she was in the first grade last year, chances are she did have an account, but it may not have been used. But if you are not finding that you have an account, then you can, I would contact the building for that, or you may still have access to our help desk system. So try there as well. I see some people they're just joining, and this information will be posted on our Return to Learn site so that you can reference it. Skyward, you see a few Skyward login questions. Maria, you want to maybe repeat that again?
Yeah. Skyward password information, your school secretaries will have that. They do have a master list of all of the families listed. For Guardian 1 will be the one that can register that student. If you don't know what your password is, contact the schools. They'll have that information. They will only have it, though, if you have not changed the original system-generated password that was shared with you at the beginning of last school year. You might have received a letter in the mail that gave you that password, but if you did not change it, the school secretary does have that information and can share that for you. If they don't have that information because you did change your password and you don't remember what it is, you can confirm what your user ID is with the school secretary, and then you can enter that into the Skyward portal and then use the forgot password feature. That will direct you to an email account to the address that we have on file. It will send you a reset email that you'll need to access. If you do not know or don't have access to that email account anymore, your school secretary can update your email address to an email that you do have access to, so you can retrieve that reset password email for Skyward. Thanks, Maurice.
Thank you, Maria. Okay. I saw the high schools were doing iPad swaps. I missed that. Does my child need a new one, or is the one they had from last year okay? We different grade levels have different iPads. So if you're an incoming freshman, we want you to have a freshman device. So the 8th grade device needs to go back and stay into the 8th grade school that it came from. So if you missed that swap, reach out to the high school, because chances are they have your new iPad there waiting, and you can organize that swap with them. But yes, we do want to collect last year's device in that situation where you're an incoming freshman, and to bring your 8th grade device in so that you can get your high school device.
So for clarification, Maurice, can they bring the 8th grade iPad that they had to the high school and swap it out for their freshman device?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I'm going to try to jump in while my internet signal is up here and answer a couple questions about the streaming component of the school day and start and end times.
Okay.
We released earlier this week that school day would start for teachers at 8 in the morning and at 2:25. We know that that schedule is not going to work for every family out there, that some kids may not be able to participate fully during that time. So our teachers are going to be flexible on when students can fulfill their schoolwork requirements. Our teachers are going to be very flexible with that timing. It's just that those are the hours that teachers will be available, from 8 a.m. to 2:25 daily. I know parents have had questions about the live streaming video component as well. That does not mean that your students are going to be in front of a screen from 8 a.m. to 2:25 a day. Parents shouldn't, that's not a concern we want you to worry about. Teachers are going to.
Oh boy.
Throughout the day, but it will not be a block of 6 hours sitting in front of a screen the entire time. There will also be some self-directed assignments in there that students can complete away from the computer. There will be a variety of options for students.
Maurice, do you mind sharing how to get a hold of IT support again? I see a couple of those in there.
Sure. Our help desk, again, maybe Jennifer, you want to just pop up the iPad again real quick? We can do that demonstration so that, all right, so we have our demonstration iPad up here again. We're going to get logged in. There's a help desk icon that, if not installed on your iPad already, it is coming. It should pull down from the server, but if you click that help desk icon on your iPad and open it up, it'll go right to our help desk login page. And again, the credentials for the help desk, we made it the uppercase initial for your first name and lowercase initial for your last name. That's all you have to do to get into there. And again, there's request types that you select based on the issue you're having. If your issue is not listed, you can do IT general other as well. And then for most common requests will be the iPad section. You'll see the request types there. You give us some information in the request detail box about what's going on. And then you can add a carbon copy, another member of the district if you like, another teacher or anything, and add an attachment if you like, and submit this. And again, I want to point out on the right-hand side, the related FAQs document, we will be expanding on this section with additional resources. So as soon as you select a request type, you might see something that's pertinent to your issue. So I encourage you to pay attention to that right-hand side as well. I guess I'll go into dive in a few other things. I'll have an expanded help desk documentation on the website. I think it's already there, but if you go to the history page real quick, Jennifer, this is where there's nothing listed, but because we haven't submitted any tickets, but this is where you can go to see any ticket history that you may have submitted. So if you want to look and see if you're had a previous issue, you just want to take a look at that, and there's a solution in there, you can go to this page to see that. So just want to point that out. All right, I'm gonna go back to some of these questions here. Will the apps required by our teachers or school be pushed out automatically? In most of the situations, yes, they will. Some instances you have to go to the app store to download that app to your iPad. but in most instances, it should be pushed to your device. Some apps I don't have access to will I be able to have access to this year, such as BrainPop, Junior, Epic, etc. I'm not sure what access issue may have you encountered last year, but we look to bring on additional applications, whether they use Google credentials or we implement another single sign-on process so that we can simplify the different apps that are required in our district. So it's an ongoing task to bring along more apps to that. But if you have different credentials for specific apps for your grade level, your building will communicate that to you. Let me see. I answered that one. Again, the iPad refresh, last year we refreshed grades kindergarten through second. And this year we are refreshing grades 3 through 8, excluding Stephen Decatur. They got refreshed last year as well. But so again, we're refreshing the other elementary grades by the way that the K through 2 grades are keeping their devices to the next grade. So naturally, each kindergartner will get a new iPad issued during the building iPad deployment. And again, that information about the deployment day and time will be communicated from your building. So watch out for that. For that. Last year we had an issue assessing vocabulary. I did see that issue come through quite a bit last year. So again, that one will have may have its own credentials, but we will try to do a better job of making sure every student has those credentials, whether it's the building communicating that, or if we receive requests via help desk ticket, we want to make sure that you know exactly how to access vocabulary. And again, hopefully, upcoming updates, we can bring that system on to some type of use the Google credentials or somehow as single sign-on process if possible. But we have to do those things app by app. Each app is different. Can we pay school fees via Skyward? Maybe, I don't know, Maria, can you take that? I'm not sure.
So you can pay for school fees online, and I'm not positive where it is on our website, but that is an option. I need to follow up, but
Okay.
you can do that online on our webpage, and I'm so sorry, I should know where that is. But also you can contact your school. They may have the information as well. I'm so sorry.
And the freshman devices, if you're an incoming freshman, you will bring your 8th grade device to the school to receive your freshman device. We'll swap that out. Will there be options for printing worksheets instead of doing worksheets on iPads? I'll defer that to maybe Maria or Denise.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I was trying to find where.
Will there be options for printing worksheets instead of doing worksheets on iPads, like some people that want a paper packet?
I'm hesitating and answer that because I'm not sure if the teachers are offering paper copies of assignments. From what I understand, everything will be done virtually over the Google Classrooms or Seesaw, but you may want to confirm with the school, or possibly once you get signed into a classroom, you may send a message to your teacher to confirm. I do know that our pre-K students, Ms. Newpel is working on that right now for age-appropriate packets for them, because at this time, they will not be getting an iPad. So that is the only grade band that I'm aware of that will be getting anything hard copy.
All right, thank you, Maria.
Welcome.
Again, to log in the web help desk, you use a student ID, or the Google email is the login. You use the student ID at dps61.net. The password is the uppercase first initial and lowercase last name initial. When I was talking about the hard reset as a debugging technique, someone wanted to know where the home button and the power button is. So you just have that. Maria's gonna, if you can see Maria's screen, the home button is at the bottom of the device, and the lock button is a little slightly different depending on your iPad, but it could be at the top, slightly on the back of the device, or on the side. So, but if you hold those two buttons for about 5 seconds, it would give you a hard reset and try and get past the issue you're facing. As a parent, can we log into Google Classroom from our computer to see the work our child is doing? Again, that goes to a device request process. So you can't just log on from any device. Those have to be approved. If you are having any issues with help desk account and not able to access, reach out to your building and let them know, and then we can take a look at that. We still are. There's still registration going on. There's still new accounts being added to our student information system. So that could be a hang up there. So if you are not able to access the help desk system with the criteria or the credentials that we outline, just reach out to your building and then we can get that resolved.
Maurice, there was a question in the chat that was posted that says, when can we go to the school to trade the charger or tablet? Would you recommend that they submit a help ticket about the iPad being damaged or lost that way?
Yes, I would recommend submitting the ticket first so that they can ensure that we have a spare charger there available. We don't want to run out and have to get some from the warehouse, but just submit a ticket first, and so they know they can coordinate that swap with the student.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've gotten several questions about specific schedules for classroom time, when a teacher will be providing synchronous learning, when there will be independent learning. That's going to vary from classroom to classroom. Teachers will be reaching out directly to their students and providing that specific information of when they can expect synchronous learning and when they can expect to be doing independent work. That's from classroom to classroom, school to school, maybe look a little different. So that information will be coming directly from teachers.
Will we be able to access YouTube on the student's iPad if the class course calls for it? Yes, with YouTube, you also have to be signed into your student account in order to view those videos. We have a YouTube restriction in place to make sure only appropriate videos are shown. So if there's an issue where you're not able to view a video, you can let your instructor know, and your instructor may not be aware that that video is not viewable by their class participants. So they'd reach out to us and we can take a look at that. But we know that was something last year that was an issue, but we do have a content filter in place. It's not perfect, but it does its best to keep our kids from seeing inappropriate content. Let me see, start scrolling through the... For parents that may be not familiar with iPads or where those buttons are, we can put something up that has a visual of where to find like that heart reset button. We can provide that. on our remote learning. We'll have a section for technology resources. Okay. So at some point we'll be contacted by teachers to find out what applications our kids will be using. Again, I believe we're using Google for 2 through 12 is our learning platform, and for a K1 is going to be Seesaw. So if there's other specific apps, your instructor will reach out with those for you to download on your device. And again, if any issues with accessing that app from that self-service store or using it, you can submit a help desk ticket and we will address that.
Whoever posted the fee page, I'm going to put that in the chat because that is where you can pay your fees. So thank you.
Again, I'll repeat for, because we're just getting close to wrapping up. For iPad deployment, your building will communicate the day and time for that. We are going through each day, a different building is going through that process. So a lot of buildings are scheduling for next week. So just look for communication on which grades need to come and pick up their device. And again, if you have a damaged device, please reach out to your building as soon as possible, because we can, if you want to be a part of the drive-through pickup process, you can bring that damaged device in to get a replacement. So notifying through help desk or notifying your building early about damaged or lost iPads would be ideal to get your device for the school year. And I want to point out for, we do, I know I didn't dive into like the Google instructional tools and Seesaw. We will have an additional session to go into those tools and explain some of the instructional aspects of them. So with this session was more geared around getting tech support for your device and using the device and things like that. So we will have more information about the instructional tools and getting more in detail for those. So look for more information to come.
We do have a question about buying school supplies for the year. I know we haven't, as a whole, released school supply lists yet. We will be releasing those very soon. They will be somewhat limited compared to a normal school prepared for the start of virtual learning.
See a question about preschool iPads. It was previously mentioned, but I just want to say again, at this time, preschool grade will not be will not be getting an iPad at this time.
Just want to have a question. What is the login for Seesaw? I know I didn't go into Seesaw logins because again, wasn't part of that Google connected functionality yet. So the Seesaw logins will be communicated from your kindergarten or first grade teacher. I think if you're not getting the help desk icon, again, we push that from our server to every device. So as long as you keep it connected to Wi-Fi, it should get that. But if you don't have the icon, you can still go to any web browser on the iPad or any device and go to dps61.org/help, and you can access our help desk system there. And keep in mind the credentials are for the help desk are uppercase first initial and lowercase last initial of your name. All right, Maria, I think
question from a parent with the Montessori programs where first and second grade students are together. Will they use Seesaw or will they use Google Meets?
I feel like Seesaw, and Denise, correct me if I'm wrong, was that grade up to grades 2, or did it stop at grade 1?
It did stop at grade 1. I'm not exactly sure we have an answer for that question specifically. You might reach out directly to Montessori Academy for Peace and find out if they've got some direction. That school obviously has a little bit different setup than the rest of our elementaries. And I think a lot of the questions that remain open, we've answered at some point during this session. If you would like to go back and watch it again to find those answers, this session will be posted on our Facebook page. It's been recorded, so the whole thing will be available on our Facebook page at any point in time. And as Maurice said, we are offering more sessions coming up next week as we dive a little bit deeper into specific platforms. So look for that information as well.
And once again, just make sure you check our Return to Learn website, where we will have all updated FAQ information documents and guidebooks related to Return to Learn and getting your students ready. That's www.dps61.org/return to learn. Maurice and Jennifer will also update some of the FAQ information that's currently out there with the information that we received during tonight's parent professional development session. So if you have not registered for school yet, please make sure you do. We do have some really cool drawings for some gift cards. It is very important for you to get registered for school, especially if you're new to DPS or have a kindergartner entering the school year. That is a trigger for our IT department to have an iPad ready for your student. Also, just make sure that you are registered, because we will also need that information for student as teacher assignments. And then, as we mentioned briefly earlier in the call, that we will be delivering meals to homes, and we will be using the addresses that you register with, that you provide proof of residency for. So get your students registered. School is almost here.
All right. I just want to thank everyone for joining.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night.